Well, I got completely snowed in yesterday.
Hmm.
It was really bad around my area, so I couldn't go to work, and so I just had the day to pack and everything, and I was like, "Well, this is kind of nice, you know?"
Yeah. Yep. We're in the process of dealing with not snow but ice. So that's gonna be fun. We're supposed to get that tomorrow or yeah, tomorrow night into Monday morning. So
Wait, I forget where you are again. Are you in Texas
yeah, I'm in Waco,
or
Texas. Yeah, Central Texas.
Okay, so I've been hearing on the news that you guys are gonna get like really like a cold spell
Yep.
going on.
Yep. It's gonna
Oh
be
boy.
it's gonna be very reminiscent of my time in or living in Chicago. So
Yeah, you'll be used to it. Everybody else is gonna freak out probably.
yeah. Well, and so one of the other musicians I've had on the podcast a couple of times, they posted something on Instagram that it's currently like negative 31, and they live up in Montana, I want to say, if I'm remembering
Okay.
correctly. And I messaged her and I was like, "Yep, I'm not going to complain about the cold anymore. I'll complain about the ice, but not the cold."
Oh my gosh, negative 31. We're supposed to get like negative teens in my area this week, but I'll be in Nashville.
Yeah.
So see you later, suckers, you know.
Right, right, right. And where are you based out of again?
So I'm an hour north of Chicago.
Okay. Okay. Got
Yeah, so
I
like
thought it
McHenry County.
gotcha. I thought it was Chicago, and then I was just like, it, it's one of those technical like growing up in Chicago or not in
Yeah,
Chicago in South suburbs. I would always just say Chicago because that's where people associate
that's
like
what
if
we do.
it's where people know, and then until you run into somebody that actually lives in Chicago and they get offended by it, and it's like,
Yeah, and then they're like, I'm in like one of the legit neighborhoods,
yeah,
like
yeah,
Lincoln Park or whatever. And I'm like,
yeah.
well, I'm McHenry.
Right, right, right. But we're just going to kind of roll into this one because the conversation's going already. But we're sitting here with Mackenzie O'Brien. Excited to have you back on. And really, you got a new single coming out here in 4 days, right? Tuesday?
I think so.
It's
Man,
17th. So let's see. That's
it's hard to count.
right? I'm sitting here, I'm
13,
like,
14, 15, 16, 17, 4 days.
four
You're right.
days.
I have to count on my hands still. That's why I'm in music. I
Right,
was
right.
never.
I was told my dad this morning. I took a I had a job interview the other day, and they were like, okay, we're gonna put you through the next round. We want you to take a like a personality and aptitude test or something. And I'm like, okay. And like in my
Oh
head,
my
it's just
gosh.
like aptitude for what the job is, and like management style stuff. And I go in, it's like 10:30 at night, and I'm like, okay, I'm at the brain capacity where I could handle, oh, what would you do in this situation? No, it was te like it was a whole questionnaire of, all right, take the second number and the third number and divide it by the biggest prime number. And they give you like a list of six numbers. And I'm,
Uh-uh.
and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh crap, okay. And so I started going through it, and then I realized that the whole thing is timed, and there's like 50 questions, and I have 7 minutes, and I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
shit, okay. And so yeah, it was so bad. If they call me back, I'll be super surprised. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Well, that's why there's Google,
yeah,
because I mean, I'll be honest, whenever I go to a restaurant and I want to make sure I'm giving them the right tip
mhm,
amount. I
yeah,
have to Google it every time. I'm like, what's 20% of blah blah
right,
blah? And still to this day.
yeah. It's not easy. It's luckily the iPhones exist and it makes it easy,
Yeah.
but same boat. It's like, especially when it's such a small amount, it's like usually it's just like here's like $10 or whatever, and then we'll kind of take the chances there. But
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
So, but how have things been going? You're getting ready to go to Nashville here. We talked about that a little bit, but how's things been going for you?
Things are really exciting. So tomorrow morning I'll be leaving for Nashville, which is kind of cool that we scheduled this interview. And
Yeah,
then right before my song comes out as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
Sugar Daddy Issues. And me and my team are like so excited for this one. We have a music video coming out too.
Yeah,
Um,
nice,
Probably like a week after the song comes out, but it is insane. And then I just got asked to open for Chris Cagle. I don't know if you know
nice.
Chris
Yep,
Cagle,
yep.
but I am so excited for that. So that'll be February 2nd.
That's awesome. It's so it will that be in Chicago or will that be will you have to go down to like Nashville for that?
It's in the Chicago area, so
Mhm.
Rosemont, Illinois. You're probably
Yeah.
familiar with
Yep.
that.
Yep.
I know you're a
Yep.
Chicago person.
Yep.
So it'll be at Joe's Live.
Okay. Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
Rosemont was a place we went to pretty consistently, not all the time. It was a little bit more when I was a little bit older. I'd go out to Rosemont a bit, but other than that, yeah, I know a
Yeah.
little bit
Well,
about it.
where
So
would you go in Rosemont? What
it
was your like hangout?
it wasn't to hang out. It was to go like my friends would work out there, so I'd go get them or what, just it wasn't like
Okay.
really hanging out in Rosemont. It was
Yeah.
usually we'd stay in like the Lansing Linwood area or Northwest Indiana. That's usually where we hung out.
Okay.
So
Well, have you done the indoor skydiving thing there?
no. I when I so for all transparency's sake, I haven't lived in Chicago since 2009, so I don't even know if indoor
Yeah,
skydiving was a thing in 2009.
maybe
So
not. Maybe that's like a relatively new thing. I've been like I signed up for it once and then I
mm,
chickened out and I never
nice.
went, but maybe one of these days.
Right, right. It looks fun. Like I've definitely seen like all the videos of like different indoor skydiving facilities and whatnot. It looks
Looks
fun, but
crazy.
yeah, but it's kind of hard because it's like if I'm gonna go skydiving, I want to actually go skydiving, not go indoor skydiving. So
See, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I want like something that's regulated
right,
and
right,
like
right.
I probably won't die. There's always a
Yeah.
chance. Like if they
Well,
turn the fan up really high and then I
yeah,
just hit the ceiling or something.
yeah.
But
It you see when I lived out in New Mexico, we used to go hot air ballooning is like this big thing out in New Mexico, like up in Albuquerque, there's a huge festival. But where I lived at down in Roswell, there would be like this little rally in March or whatever, and
mm,
our station sponsored one of the balloons. I work for in the TV business, and I was so nervous about actually going hot air ballooning because I'd like seen all these situations,
yeah,
and
of course.
it, they got me in it, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. Like this is soup. Like we're not going very far, so we'll see what happens. And after that, I was just like, you know what? I don't like I shouldn't fear like these certain things because yeah, it wasn't the most comfortable landing. Yes, I had to stand on the edge of the balloon to make sure it didn't tip over. That was a
Hmm.
whole situation.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But, it's one of those deals where it's like when it comes to like skydiving or hot air ballooning or like bungee jumping, if there's like I don't want to call it a fake way because indoor skydiving is kind of like it's its own thing, I feel like. But, I
Yeah.
want to experience the
Yeah.
real thing. So,
Yeah. I mean, you get all the sights as well,
yeah.
and it's definitely more legit.
Yeah. So,
So,
but I definitely, so I keep trying to come up to Chicago to visit family and whatnot. And every time I go, it's like, okay, I'll go into like downtown or something or go someplace
hmm.
because there, I think a lot of people don't realize how big Chicago is and how many like little suburbs there are that have their own things to do.
Yeah,
And
for
it's like,
sure.
that there's definitely parts of Chicago that I've never been before, even though I lived there for 22 years, but it's just like it's
Hmm.
so big.
Yeah,
I
it
I'm
is.
I'm trying to expand my horizons and get out a little bit more every time I go up to Chicago. So
Yeah,
I'll have to check that out.
for sure. You got to
Yeah.
follow like the tourist pages too and
Yeah.
see like what new things are popping up. There's always new things,
Right, right,
which
right.
is cool about city living.
Yeah,
Although I
yeah.
don't live in the city, but I'm
Well,
glad it's around.
I mean, I'm sure well, no, McHenry County, that would be more like that's not like country living, is it? It's
No, it's I don't think it is. And
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because it has a stigma
Hmm.
of being like, out in the boonies, but it's
Hmm.
really not.
Yeah.
And you actually go to the boonies and you're like, yeah, the Kennery's like a city. So I
Yeah.
think it's in between being a city and being like
The
out in the
boon.
country.
Yeah. Because I've
Yeah,
been.
because oh, sorry, I have some friends from Chicago.
Hmm.
And then I remember like there was this bass player I knew. His name was Jewett. Super nice guy. He's
Yeah.
from Maywood.
Uh-huh.
So that's like right by the city.
Yeah.
And then he would come all the way out to practice with us in McHenry. And
Yeah.
he was like, I'm out in the country. I can see the stars. And I was like, what?
It's like, yes, you can, but really go out into the country. Go out into explore up into like north or southern Wisconsin
Yeah. Or Harvard.
or
Harvard, I
Harvard.
think, is definitely out in the country.
Yeah, or come on down to like Kankakee or Bourbonnais, or like even driving out to those places. Like when we were little, we used to go out to Bourbonnais to go to like Bears, the Chicago Bears camp and all training camp and all that stuff.
Mm,
And
mhm.
that's how we found some of like the best produce, like some of the best corn and stuff like that. Like there'd be these little offshoot farm stands out there,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it's
I
like
love that.
freshly grown right there on the land, and it's like, yes, this is good stuff. So
That's amazing, especially when you can find a good farmer's market. There is
right,
a fantastic one in Woodstock,
that's
Illinois, right by me, about
yeah,
15 minutes, and they have some of the best produce and everything there.
nice, nice. I was actually looking at what it would take to get me to move back to Chicago or the Chicagoland area. And
Hmm.
honestly, I've said for the longest time that I'd never move back to the home base area, but that thought's been changing a little bit recently. So it's like as
Wow.
as much as I'd love to go to Nashville, and I feel like Nashville would be a cool place to be, Chicago, there's just something about Chicago. Like every time I see a job posting and it's like, oh, that's in northern Chicago, like it would have been, there was this one like recording studio that was looking for like a social media person, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I'm like, but then I'd have to live on like the north side of Chicago. Then I got to deal with Cubs fans. I don't really want to do
Yeah.
that, but
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
yeah, so it's a
Are
whole
you a
thing.
Sox fan too? I
I
feel
am.
like we covered this last
Yes.
time. All right, right
Yes.
on.
Yep.
Right on.
So it's a whole thing. But
Yeah.
let's talk about your new single. It drops in 4 days. Daddy Issues. What's the story behind the song? How long has it kind of been in the works?
Oh my goodness. So it's actually been a while.
Hmm.
And I got a lot of inspiration for this song. Although I've never had a sugar daddy. Many people, I mean, if they hear it, they'll be like, "Oh my God, she's like on OnlyFans or something." I've never done that. I'm a very like conservative
Hmm.
girl, like
Yeah.
morally conservative.
Yeah.
And but I work in a hair salon
Hmm.
and we just talk so much crap in the back room. Like it's so bad. And my boss always jokes with me. She's like, we need to start a podcast because like all the stuff we're saying. And I'm like I would have to go under like a different name because I'd be so embarrassed about the stuff that
Right.
we talk about. But we would always sort of come back to like, man, I am struggling for money.
Hmm.
And a lot of the hairstylists I know are, struggling and stuff. And so we're always like, I wish I could just take pictures of my feet and post it on OnlyFans. And I would just have to do that. I could like, paint my
Yeah.
toenails or something and be
Yeah.
all like cute and make some money, like
Yeah.
easy money. And I thought this is like such a funny song, but um so I took it to Nashville
Hmm.
and I knew I had to write. And this guy, I was supposed to write, but this guy, Blue Foley and
Hmm.
Brent Baxter.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to write with them because they're very like established
Hmm.
in the Nashville writing scene. And I thought, man, if I take this song title to them, Sugar Daddy Issues, they're either gonna think I'm nuts or they're gonna love it. And Blue absolutely loved it. He had to like run around the room a couple times because he got so excited. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, I thought this was like so stupid, but thank you for loving it. And Brent Baxter, he's like a very like just like a good Christian guy.
Hmm.
And so it's so funny that he was on this right because I totally like brought them down to my level of writing about all this crazy stuff. And so we finished the song and we were like, this is something like totally wacky and out there. And the song has kind of taken on a life of its own. Like there are people, Blue sings it at a lot of writers rounds in Nashville. And I think like it's become kind of like known in a certain writing scene there.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know because I'm up in Chicago and then I go down there and I sang at this writers round
Hmm.
and like nobody really knows who I am and it's actually kind of intimidating to go and write there
Hmm.
or sing there because I'm like, oh my God, all these guys are like so good and they have songs on the radio and then I'm just like this dork from Chicago. But then I sang Sugar Daddy Issues and then the host of the writers round was like, wait, your sugar daddy issues. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, that's me. I'm so glad you know the song.
That's awesome.
But it's just been so fun.
Yes. So did you change the title from Sugar Daddy Issues just to Daddy Issues, or is that like the full title?
But no, the full title is Sugar Daddy
Oh,
Issues. Yeah.
okay. Awesome. I was sitting there, I was like, wait a minute, have I been saying, yep, I've been saying it wrong. That's fine. That's the whole thing.
That is okay. That is
So,
okay.
nice. So you said you got a music video dropping with it as well?
Yes, I
Nice.
do. This one is going to be just out there. Like
Mm.
you're either gonna love it or hate it. Like that's
Yeah,
the whole thing with this song because it's just like kind of in your face.
nice.
And I'm just going online and stealing old dudes' money and stuff,
Right.
and definitely some dark humor in there.
Nice, nice. That sounds like something that I'll have to put on my music video reacts thing that I've just started doing. I had
Oh my
this
gosh.
so I've had this idea for the longest time. I started doing like Reacts video just to kind of keep my YouTube channel or keep our YouTube channel kind of active. We
Hmm.
kind of hit a lull there where we weren't uploading for like 6 months at a time. And it's like, okay, I need to do something to kind of keep it going. And so I started doing that stuff. And then last week I had this idea of I've got all these people sending me music videos or links to music that have music videos. Maybe I should do something there. So I started just like reacting to the music videos. And then last night I was like super deprived of sleep because I had made a trip from I did like a 6 hour road trip in one day to go shoot a fundraiser video for work. And I came home and I was just like super dead tired. And I had this idea of turning it into kind of a parody of like Siskel and Ebert, of being like a very like staunch like artist, so to speak, of like music videos. Like
Okay.
and so
Yeah.
I'm kind of playing with that idea of turning it from like music video reacts to being like the music video critic, but still kind of
Okay.
be very tongue in cheek funny about it, but still kind of have some like legitimate viewpoints on it. So
I feel like you need to wear like a scarf or something. I
right. I
don't.
was sitting there, I was like, I really hate turtlenecks, but I feel like a scarf and a
Yeah,
turtleneck and get some
a
kind of
scarf
like
and a
weird
turtleneck.
straight down low cut I don't want to call it a Karen haircut, but that for whatever reason that's kind of what comes to mind. But yeah,
That is really funny. Or like an Argyle sweater, or yeah,
right.
that's perfect.
So I'm working on it. I'm kind of playing out the idea. I just want to get the repetitions in, and then I'll kind
Hmm.
of move it into something a little bit more fun and different. So
That's really cool. That's a really good idea.
nice.
I'll be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So you're about 4 days from this release. You're going to Nashville. You're going to be in Nashville for the release. What's kind of running through your mind right now is you're kind of running into the finish, well, not even the finish line, but like almost the starting line for
Hmm.
the promotional aspects of everything.
Hmm.
What's kind of running through your mind right now?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I've actually been freaking out about this song for a really long time. And I'd say like a year ago, I recorded it about a year ago, almost in February. Um, and then it became real once
Mm-hmm.
I put a recording to this song. And I was like, okay, that means I have to release this.
Hmm.
And I was either going to pitch it or release it. The writers were saying, we should pitch this to Priscilla Block or Megan Trainor because it's like really sassy.
Hmm.
And then I was just like, I don't know, I just kind of want to hold on to it. But once I recorded it, I was really nervous because of, what the
Yeah.
song is about. It's
Hmm.
definitely not like your grandma's favorite song,
Yeah.
or like my grandma's probably going to be like, what the heck, Mackenzie? But I think as time has gone on, I'm just like, it is what it is. And I think it's a really quirky idea, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Nice. Wa- Was there like a moment or a specific moment or a light switch that was like, okay, now's the time to release the song?
So before I worked with my team in Nashville, I would
Hmm.
just like randomly pick a date on my
Mm.
digital
Yeah.
distributing site. But now things are just more calculated.
Okay.
And we were going to release it in, I think, November
Hmm.
initially.
Yeah.
And then my team called me and they were like, let's push it back so we can keep promoting it.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'm all for that. And then there's a thing that happens around Christmas time where
Yep.
advertisements get so expensive.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, we got to wait until Christmas is
Right.
over. And so then we just settled on January 17th. And I was like, all right, cool.
Fair. Fair.
This
That
feels
work.
right.
Those expensive Christmas advertisements are great for me and making
Mm.
content stuff, but for everybody else, it's not so great because it's like insanely expensive. So,
Oh, yeah, you got to work around it. It's
right.
crazy.
Right. So, is this leading to a bigger project, or is this gonna you kind of thinking a one-off single, or what's kind of the thought process there?
So we've been releasing one single at a time
Hmm.
to be on an EP.
Hmm.
So once the last song is out, which we have one more after
Mm.
Sugar Daddy
Nice.
Issues, and I think that'll be, man, I never even know the dates of this song. I was on Instagram and I was talking about Sugar Daddy
Yeah.
Issues, and I said it was going to be released today, but like I totally had it wrong. I think that'll be sometime in March would
Okay.
be the last song.
Fair.
And then after that, the whole EP should be on Spotify.
Nice. That's cool. It's I I I kind of like how like love or hate Spotify for everything that they do or don't do or all that stuff. But the fact
Hmm.
that they're kind of playing to the fact that artists still like releasing bigger projects and making that whole process easier is kind of cool. And I think that'll help their long-term longevity in the industry without, kind of hindering themselves like, hey, singles. That's the way to do it. Because no, like for me,
Hmm.
when I'm listening to music, I really enjoy listening to like bigger, longer projects where it's like,
Yeah,
okay, it's an experience. You sit down, listen to track one through whatever it is, 7, 10, 12, and just kind of getting the whole story or the whole picture.
for sure. For
So
sure.
yeah.
Did you listen to Morgan Wallen's like I don't even know how many songs he had on there, his last
Oh,
album?
his was it the double? Didn't you do like a double album or something? Or maybe,
I think so. I think he released like 30 or 40
yeah,
songs. I don't know the exact number, but I was like, wow, that's actually really cool.
yeah. It. I listened to Morgan Wallen a little bit, but he's not in my main like rotation of music because, eh, like last year or 2 years ago, I started focusing really heavy on supporting like the indie artists. And yeah, there's some like bigger names that I listen to just because I've been listening to them for 20, 30 years, so it's just kind of like
Hmm.
it in my subconscious of like, oh, I'm in a Metallica mood today, so let's go listen to Metallica, stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And but for the most part, it's all just like straight independent musicians. And now I kind of pride myself on whenever like the they do their wrap ups every year. If my top
Hmm.
five is all independent artists, I was doing something right. So
I love that.
yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah,
That's really cool. Well,
it's
you're definitely supporting the underdog, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and especially with the way Spotify just kind of doesn't it like it takes so many plays to get any kind of return from Spotify. It's like every play counts. So if I can help support that, that's where I want to be. So,
Yes, absolutely.
oh,
Absolutely. I actually ran into sort of a problem where I didn't have like some gigs for a while, or some of
mm,
them got canceled because of the weather. And then I went into my Spotify account and I had like, I don't know, like $100 in there. And I was
nice,
like, I need this right now, this week. Thank you,
nice,
Spotify.
nice. I I read it. So kind of a side tangent of just randomly finding money. Have you ever done the unclaimed property search? Have you ever
No, what is that?
so every state that you've lived in or collected a paycheck in, if you
Hmm.
so you type in unclaimed property for, in this case, let's say Illinois, Illinois unclaimed property, and basically it's a database of anybody that's tried to send you a check or a refund that you didn't cash because either A, you moved, or they didn't know where to send it. They send it to the state treasury
Mm.
and they have to hold that. And so like sometimes it's like $10, 30, so it's not like a whole lot of money, but it's usually just like big enough to be a refund.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I found like $40 like last week, and I'm like, yes, I don't really need the $40, but that'll come in clutch in 2 weeks when that check comes in. So,
Yes. Oh my gosh, this reminds me of a really funny story. And it's so random, but
mhm,
I feel like I need to like write a song about it because speaking of the hair salon,
yeah,
there's so much inspiration in there. And I like clean it and stuff.
mhm,
I'm not a hairstylist, but I was taking out the trash. I walk back in and my boss, she's like celebrating
mhm,
something. And I'm like,
yeah,
what's going on? And she's like, my baby daddy won the lottery, but that money's going to me. Illinois is sending his lottery winnings to me. Or I was like, that is so funny. I was like, I'm so glad that you're getting the money for the
yeah,
child support and he's
nice.
not getting it.
That's funny. That's so funny. I mean, I feel like we could sit here and talk all day about just like random ways we find money and just kind of keep, just trying to keep the dream alive, because I feel like, especially being a creative, even if you have a day job to kind of support things, you
Mhm,
put so much time, effort, and money into your passion of, in your case, music, my case, telling stories, sharing stories, and stuff like that, that you find like towards the end of those paychecks, it's like,
mhm.
ooh, I've got like 7 days before I get paid, and I've got $12. What do I
Oh
do?
my gosh.
Like, I
It's
mean,
like living week to week,
right,
it's
right.
tough.
And so when you get those little bright moments of, oh, I found $40 from this thing. Yeah, that's not a lot of money, but $52 is better than $12 to get me to Friday. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's like my thought process like every single week and stuff. And when you find $20 in your jean pocket
Mhm.
from the wash or something, it's just such a good feeling.
Right, right, right. So kind of looking forward as you are approaching the end of this EP. You said you got the final single coming out in right around March. What's the plan for the rest of the year? Are you just kind of playing shows? Are you looking at the next project after that? Like, that even seems hard to think about, because it's like you're in the middle of the release of this, but
Mhm.
where are you kind of at? What are you thinking about for the rest of the year?
So actually, my trip to Nashville will be a writing trip.
Mm,
So I have some co-writes scheduled, and hopefully we can get some songs for the next project coming
mm,
out because we're just always looking forward
yeah,
and always, I think it's always good to be writing and just to get fresh ideas and
yeah,
stuff. And we'll be gearing up for the summer too, which is our busiest time of year. We already got some shows booked for that, some
nice,
festivals around the Chicago area.
nice,
Hoping to branch out more in like the Midwest and stuff. So that's definitely the goal, as long
awesome.
as well as writing.
Yeah. I have to get you down to Texas. try and figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I want to go to Waco so I could
yeah.
go to Chip and Joanna's thing, the silos.
Oh man, that place. So,
It's like girl central over
right.
there.
So I felt so not to bring the mood of this down, but I felt so
Mhm.
bad because before my mom passed, they came out to visit me when I first moved out here to Waco, but it was the middle of the pandemic, and my mom was a huge Chip and Joanne fan, like all that the home remodeling stuff she watched. She had like 17 different shows that she watched. And so when she
Wow.
found out I was moving to Waco, she's like, "Oh, that's where the silos are at. I want to go see the silos." And they
Yeah.
came out to visit like mid-pandemic, and I was like, "Well, we can go to the silos. I don't know what's happening right now because it's
Mhm.
like it was May 2020, so it was like
Yeah.
dead, like dead heat of COVID,
COVID. Yeah.
and there was like nothing open, but she was just so happy to like see the silos, and I'm like, okay, you're happy, cool.
Oh.
And then now everybody just kind of equates with like, I mean, I guess Chip and Joanne are a better representation or a better image for Waco than what was previous with like David Koresh and all that. But you know,
Okay.
you know, everybody wants to come down and see Chip and Joanne, and it's like cool. Like they're bringing people to this town, I guess. So,
Yeah, I mean, people book like plan trips around that.
mm,
I know several of my girlfriends that have done that, and I'm
mm,
like, wow, that's crazy. I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't do that, but if I was in Waco,
yeah.
I'd probably check it out.
Honestly, the best way to plan a trip like that is if you're gonna do something like just like a Central Texas trip. Like if you're gonna fly into Dallas and
Hmm.
Dal like and you want to like do Dallas, Waco, Austin, or something like that. If you build out like a week long trip or 5 days or
Yeah.
whatever, and do like Dallas, Waco, Austin, that makes the most sense because you could leave Dallas, fly into Dallas, and fly out of Austin, and it's like it works, and it's one straight shot. You jump on 35 and take it south. Um,
And Austin
but
is really cool
yeah,
too. I've been there, and then I've been to the Dallas area and then San Antonio, but
San
I'd like to expand
yeah,
more of my Texas
yeah.
towns and stuff.
South Texas is fun if as long as you don't go during hurricane season. Like just kind
Oh
of
yeah.
avoid it just because you never know what's going to happen. Like a hurricane could spot up like that, and then it's like all your flights are canceled. You're screwed. It's like so. But
That's what I have to keep reminding myself being in a very cold environment
mhm,
that there are no hurricanes
right,
and nothing too crazy, no scary animals
mm,
like
yeah,
alligators.
right, yeah.
So,
And that you're in a place that's prepared enough to actually know how to handle like unless it's like a freak winter storm where you're going to get like 2 or 3 feet of snow,
mhm.
9 times out of 10 they're ready to like handle that snow, and they've got the plows out, they know how to pre-treat, they know how to do all these
Yeah.
things, whereas
Yeah, we're
here
definitely so grateful for all the flowers out there.
mhm,
But yesterday we just got trapped,
uh,
man.
yeah, I was gonna call my sister to see how she was doing because I was looking through like my weather apps and whatnot, and I saw that there was so much snow coming down because she lives in Northwest Indiana. She lives out in Wheatfield.
Mm,
And
okay.
I was just like, yo, she's out in the boonies. That's where she lives. And, it's one of those things where you get like the wind, snow drifts and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's a little
Oh.
scary. So,
That is the worst when
mhm,
all that powder is just blowing around out
right.
there. It's like so
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah, it is. It is. So outside of music, what have you been focusing on recently? What have you been doing to kind of decompress?
Okay, so I was just talking
Mm,
about this. I joined Cycle Bar. Woo!
nice, nice, nice. How
I
how does
don't
that been?
really It's been great. So I'm just such an anxious individual
Mm,
and I tend to just feel so good after, a nice cardio
mm,
workout. I basically when I'm there biking, I'm like, all right, I'm getting rid of my anxiety. It's gonna be
Yeah,
good. So just did it this morning.
guys,
It's just been my new resolution for this year. So it's been fun.
that's cool. That's cool. I keep telling myself I need to get back into the gym, but there's not a gym really close to me because like if I for me
Ooh,
since I travel so much, I kind of would like a cycle bar. I don't know if you could like go from like if you're traveling, if you can go to one cycle bar and then if there's a cycle bar somewhere else, you can kind of like
yeah, I wish, but they're franchised.
okay,
So if some of the owners own a few of them and you can
hmm
go to like each one, but a lot of them are,
got
separate, which kind
gotcha.
of stinks.
Yeah. Because that's why, so like when I do go to the gym, I usually go to like Planet Fitness, and then that way I can
Mhm.
go to like if
Any of them.
any of the Planet Fitnesses, and then it got me thinking. I was like, huh, if I were to ever just like become a nomad where all I do is travel, all I need is a Planet Fitness, then I know I have a place to shower every morning. Like just go to a Planet
Yeah.
Fitness, you're good, and it costs me $25 a month. So
That is so smart. I mean, I would actually do that because last year it wasn't a Planet Fitness, but it was our like town gym. Our
mhm.
pipes or our shower broke, and we have one shower in my house, and so I would go to the gym and shower.
Nice.
But at least we
Fair.
had that.
Yeah, you had a place to go when, because yeah, that's always good to,
Definitely grateful.
right?
Definitely grateful for those shower gyms.
And it's very resourceful, and they usually keep them pretty clean, so
Oh
that's always
yeah.
good. So, but I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat. If anybody wants to check out your music or any of that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
Um, Spotify, Apple Music, all of the above, I think. So you can find me at Mackenzie O'Brien, and then you can follow my Instagram, which is Mackenzie O'Brien N, and then it's spelled like Mac, NZ.
Mhm.
And you can also find me on Facebook, Mackenzie O'Brien and Band.
Nice, nice, nice. Did you have to throw the N on your Instagram because somebody was already Mackenzie O'Brien?
Yes, yes, unfortunately.
That's so, that's so that like that's how I had to do all my socials because normally it's live and amplified, and then there was a couple of
Mm.
places where that was already taken, and I was like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna be, use some little slang or whatever, and it's gonna be live, the letter N amplified. Cool.
Live in amp. I kind of like it better though, because it
Yeah.
flows and stuff.
It
So that's
like when
cool.
you're saying it, like when you say it as a whole word, it makes like
Mm.
you can't really tell the difference. But I have to emphasize like it's the letter N, not and, because sometimes that's what people think you're saying. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But really,
Instagram.
right, right. But really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat, and we will catch you all later.
Thanks so much for having me, Tom.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, where's my stop recording?